Okay, let's jump right in. Today, in this explainer, we're unpacking a truly fascinating mental toolkit. It comes straight from Neuro-Linguistic Programming, or NLP, and it has the power to completely transform how you handle difficult conversations. It's called Perceptual Positions, and honestly, it's all about mastering the art of perspective.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the conflict trap, first position, which is the self, second position, which is the other, third position, which is the observer, fourth position, which is the system, and finally, wrap it up with the power of perspective.
Section 1. The conflict trap. Getting unstuck. So I want you to anchor yourself for a second in a specific memory. Think about a recent super frustrating conflict. Maybe it was with a stubborn colleague at work or a family member at home where literally neither side would budge an inch. You laid out your logic, they pushed back with theirs, and you just ended up talking in endless circles. It's an exhausting loop to be stuck in, right? We've all been there. To break out of that massive mental gridlock, we really need to look at a foundational idea from anthropologist Gregory Bateson. He famously said, "Wisdom comes from multiple perspectives." And this profound insight is the absolute bedrock of what researchers John Grinder and Judith DeLozier later modeled into the NLT technique we're looking at today. Basically, it suggests that relying on just our single point of view is, well, fundamentally incomplete.
So what exactly is a perceptual position? By definition, it's a particular mental perspective or point of view from which you perceive a situation or a relationship. And I want to be super clear here. These are entirely cognitive shifts. We're not talking about physically moving chairs around a room. We're talking about training your brain to temporarily shift its filters so you can genuinely see all sides of a story.
Section 2. First position. The self. All right, in the first position, you are seeing the world purely through your own eyes. You are completely associated in your own body, your own beliefs, your assumptions, and even your own physical posture. Basically, you are experiencing the communication loop firsthand, exactly as yourself. And you can always spot the first position by listening to the language. It's heavily anchored in pronouns like I, me, and my, because first position is all about your own needs, your boundaries, and how you feel. And hey, this is absolutely essential for goal setting and asserting yourself. I mean, if you don't know what you want, you can't exactly communicate it effectively, right? But here is the trap. If you stay completely locked in this first position, your internal dialogue is exclusively focused on how I feel and what I want. To actually escape a conflict, you have to bridge the gap to how they feel and what they want. And making that happen requires a very deliberate, empathetic leap.
Section 3. Second position. The other.
To make this leap, you have to experience a total mental reversal. You are now looking back at yourself. In the second position, you're viewing the interaction through the eyes, the emotional filters, and the worldview of the other person. You're doing this to get a real sense of what's motivating their choices.
The linguistic shift here is wild. When you're fully immersed in this mental state, you actually refer to your original self as you. You become totally dissociated from yourself and associated into them. You might think, wow, you were being really defensive right now, but you're speaking about yourself from their perspective. This is exactly how you build profound, undeniable empathy.
Pulling this off requires a deliberate cognitive shift. Step 1, you acknowledge your own view, and then you mentally just set it aside for a moment. Step 2, you imagine their worldview. Ask yourself, what are they seeing, hearing, and feeling? What misconceptions might they have? Temporarily suspending your own assumptions is the real secret to figuring out why they're reacting the way they are. Section 4. Third position, the observer. Now imagine being a fly on the wall, or hovering way above in a helicopter view. This perspective completely removes all the emotional charge from the situation. From way up here, you aren't feeling your own frustration, and you aren't feeling their defensiveness. You are just watching two people interact. It allows you to see the relationship dynamic totally objectively. The hallmark of the third position is using third-person language, he, she, or they. By speaking this way in your own mind, you're acting as an independent outsider. You might notice something like, when he raises his voice, she immediately crosses her arms. You are gathering incredibly valuable, unbiased information about the communication loop that you completely missed when you were stuck in the first position. Section 5. Fourth position. The system. In this final position, the individual I and the separate they completely disappear. The focus shifts entirely to the collective we. This is the language of the system, and that system could be a marriage, a corporate department, or even an entire global organization.
You can think of the fourth position as a synthesis of all the other perspectives. It creates a sense of being the whole system, operating with its absolute best interests in mind. It transcends the individual parts. When you adopt this mental framework, you start asking the big questions, like what is the best outcome for us? It's absolutely essential for creating true group mind or team spirit.
Section 6. The power of perspective.
By intentionally cycling your mind through these different positions, the benefits are practically immediate. You develop deep empathy through the second position. You extract objective, unemotional insights via the third. You uncover hidden dynamics through the fourth. And most importantly, you completely unlock mental gridlock. You're replacing sheer reactivity with ecological wisdom. And that leads to far, far better cooperation across the board.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Which position will you step into during your next difficult conversation? Because the next time you feel stuck, remember that you have choices. You can mentally step out of your own shoes, look through their eyes, or hover above the whole scene. Try it out and watch how quickly the conflict trap just vanishes. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.